Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? This is BC. Welcome back. I felt like now was the time, especially with the new channel, to start a series such as the journey to becoming a millionaire. And I kind of want to take you guys through this stuff more of like in a storytelling mode, but also teaching at the same time because I think that's important. So for many of you who don't know, who are just coming across me, or you haven't been following me for a long time and you don't know the beginnings, I'm an ex-professional athlete that transitioned into real estate, right? Now, what people do not understand is there was a couple key things that were done correctly, unbeknownst to me, right? However, this is something that, looking back now, I analyze and say, okay, these were good things that I can impart on people in regards to like little nuggets and wisdom. The first thing is this. A lot of times when we look at anything, right, especially from the position of being brand new, and this is key, you really need to pay attention to this. When you look at something, you tend to look only at what's missing, right? You look at it from like a pessimistic point of view, and you really don't maximize your perspective in regards to the scope of the opportunity. It's mainly why you can't do this, or what's missing, what your disadvantages are. And without even realizing it, you know, you're already creating an argument or a story to either talk yourself out of doing something or almost make it okay for you to have this plan B, exit strategy, or soften the blow if you do fail, if that makes sense. So when I looked at many things, including real estate, which is what I finally chose, I looked at it from the point of advantages. I said, look, I'm coming from like a pretty extensive athletic career, right, in basketball. I didn't get to the final end goal that I wanted to. I got close, but you know, there's a lot of things that I bring to the table. I'm extremely competitive, which we'll talk about later in this video. I show up first, I leave last. I've built up an incredible work ethic. My self-discipline is top notch. My ability to study and work on and master the fundamentals is second to none. I know how to be a leader now, right? And even though off of the court at that time, I'm not the most vocal and you know, social butterfly type person, when it's business time on the court and I need to lead and communicate and tell people what to do and handle the job and get it done, I can, and I step up. When the pressure mounts, I step up. When it's time to take the final shot, right, to seal the deal of the game, I'm the one saying, coach, give me the ball. I got this. They can't stop me. I'm the one walking into, you know, going into like the state tournament and semifinals and the preliminaries, you know, like in high school, I remember warming up, telling coach, I'm not going to miss today. Give me the ball. I'm going to take us to victory. That's the type of stuff that I bring to the table. Now, I'm not going to be on the court anymore, but I just have to translate a lot of this energy and these things into this new endeavor. So instead of it being on the hardwood, now it's going to be in the office. If I show up first and leave last and apply all these things, inevitably, it's going to aid and facilitate the process of me being successful in this new endeavor. Because what many of you don't realize is the vast majority of people who have become millionaires, multimillionaires, and all that stuff, you know, a lot of them did have to go through a process of reinventing themselves, whether once or multiple times. Because you're very rarely going to find somebody who was either just given a ton of money or somebody who their first idea or first business idea, boom, they just made it, you know? So I originally started off my athletic career. I didn't do it, boom. I had to reinvent myself and get into the business side, sales, entrepreneurship, and real estate, you know, and really what pushed me into multi-millionaire status was multiple streams of income and all the other stuff we're gonna discuss on this series too. But it all started with me reinventing myself. Now, that's a pivotal point that I wanna make a point of right now, because a lot of people crash in this moment. They're so wrapped up with their identity to say, oh, I'm this for me. I'm the athlete, I'm the basketball player. I don't know anything else, okay? Now, however you reach that point at the end, whether through injury, your own personal choice, or some kind of intervention or thing that happens where you're like, okay, I'm hanging up the sneakers, or I'm moving on, or I have to make a change. You can't let that be the death of you. Right? Mentally, we become so wrapped up in that identity and all the associations with it that it cripples us, because now we're bound internally as a human being to play this character, which, yes, we built for a long time. However, that was by choice. And you also have the choice and ability that if you want to change, if you have to change, whether you feel like it or not, boom, We can be like chameleons. We can shift. We can change. Just like the same argument holds when people say, well, this is a character trait of mine because of my culture or my race, or my parents have this, or it runs in my blood. You can still change it. To the degree that you believe you can change it, you can. To the degree that you can't is also going to be true. The question is, are you going to take control of that mechanism? Because this identity one that we just described, like me transitioning from an athlete to a career professional salesperson, real estate guy, right? All that stuff. That would be impossible if I held on to that. It would be detrimental to my growth. It would not allow me to go through this process of reinvention and make something of myself. It would say, hey, that was your only one destiny and you didn't make it, so haha, right? And we forget that as human beings, we're incredible. We have the ability to reinvent ourselves and off of even a whim, change and say, you know what, I was doing this, now I want to do that. So understand that mechanism for what it is, because it goes all the way down to the deepest roots of your psyche as a human being, and it literally will be one of the main determining factors in your quest on this journey, as an example, if you're watching this video, to become a millionaire. Stop and think for a second. How many of you are confining yourselves to a particular identity, or I'm this guy, I'm that guy, I'm the life of the party, and this and that, and you won't even allow yourself to be anything outside of that. Even if you want to change and evolve, you'll find yourself, especially when people are around or there's attention on you, like, oh, I gotta be this person or that person, right? That's, in essence, being fake. Do you want to do that? No. Pick and choose, be the cause point, okay? Because these are, again, another pivotal point to this journey, especially becoming a millionaire, right? So, we have looking at the advantages, we have the identity part. Now, moving forward, I start. You're also going to, especially if you're an athlete, transitioning like I did, or anybody else who maybe was doing something else, a long career, right? Whatever it is, and you're transitioning to this, or even if you didn't, you're gonna hit a wall very quickly in the beginning where it's almost me remembering like, man, this is hard. This is a lot harder. Even though I knew it was gonna be difficult, it's still weighing on me. What I would give to have the same efficiency and calm and poise and ability like I did in basketball, and suddenly just be able to snap my fingers and apply it to this, because it's frustrating to start, especially being high level at something, starting again at ground zero, like level one, like, man, right? It's frustrating because you're coming from something else with that high level of proficiency and ability to now have to start over and not be good at something. It's a blow to your ego, of course, and it was to me as well. But even if you don't have that reference of being fantastic at something else, even if you're just starting from scratch and you never really have taken anything to that level, it's still daunting, because it slaps you the reality very quickly that I'm not good at this. I'm new at this. This kind of sucks, because emotionally, this doesn't feel good. Now we know that wanes and dissipates as time goes on, because when you get good at something, oh man, that's the whole point of this piece, by the way. When you get really good at something, even when you start getting good at it, it changes the energy and flow of it. Now you look forward to doing some of the activities that once you hated or despised, because you're good at them. You can get a certain result from it. It's going to lead to you making money or having success, or whatever it is. In this case, right, getting sales, getting customers, completing transactions, right, taking it to that level. But before you become good or great or expert at something, you have to start from the beginning, which means you're not going to be good. You're not going to be proficient. You're not going to have the skill. You're not going to have the understanding. Okay? And that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, to say, I proclaimed, and I committed to climbing Mount Everest. Now I'm going to take the first step. Right? So I urge a lot of people there to keep your eyesight and your focus down the road, because in the temporary, there's going to be discomfort. But if you're willing to endure and get through that temporary, it's always temporary. Because if you're going to do this for 5 years and the first 2 or 3 are guaranteed to be a grind and difficult, guess what? In the grand scheme of things, that is temporary. It is not a permanent condition. That's where we fool ourselves mentally. The temporary anguish, emotional distress, difficulties, challenges, obstacles that you're dealing with, keyword temporary, in your mind, in those moments, because they don't feel good, you fool yourself into thinking that they're permanent. What do most people do? They feel the discomfort, they back off. Well, if you back off, you're going to turn that temporary discomfort into a lifetime of discomfort. For you to change that, and make it temporary, it implies and presupposes that the effort and the action and your commitment will continue to endure through the temporary portion to then alleviate it and get through it at the end, so that temporary condition stays temporary. If it becomes permanent in your life, it's because you made it permanent by either quitting or not doing what you're supposed to do. Anything we do that's new, anything we do that we're not good at, guess what? It's going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging, and you're not going to enjoy it. Right? I don't care how good or proficient you think you are, you're going to feel uncomfortable. How do we know this? Because we innately fear the unknown as human beings. I drop you into a field, pitch black, middle of nowhere, and I'm like, don't worry, there's nothing there. And then I leave you. Even if you believe me, the first night or two, right? Depending on how long you stay, you're not going to feel good. It's not until you become familiar with the area that emotion starts to go away, because now you know, okay, I'm safe. Even if I confirmed it to you, even if other people told you, the fact that I'm putting you somewhere by yourself in pitch black in an area, in a place that is undisclosed and you do not know, you're gonna feel uncomfortable. I don't care who you are. It's human nature, okay? So, that temporary process, again, is necessary. You did it if you came like from basketball with me, that's an ongoing thing, working on the fundamentals and shooting 1,000 shots and doing the free throws and doing all the drills. In the moment, in practice, it's extremely uncomfortable. However, when we play the game, it's easy, right? You get those gains from all that temporary discomfort of grinding, in practice and repeatedly doing the same task over and over, right? Which brings me to my next point. It's going to be an accumulation of all these small actions over time that are going to lead to your success in becoming a millionaire or successful in whatever endeavor that you embark on and journey that you choose, because that's what builds up this like 10,000 hour rule or whatever you're going to call it, and starts getting all these things done. We work in the business of customer acquisition here. What does that mean? That means that every day you're going to make the effort to reach out to more and more customers, and the more I do it, the more consistently, the more I'm increasing the odds and inevitably making it possible for me to be successful and acquire more customers and build the skills to acquire more customers, and then improve my systems, improve my processes and everything else, because it's through the action and the data, real-time data and feedback that I get from doing this and engaging in this activity every day, that then I get the information that I need and the results that I need in order to refine my process, make it better, keep the wheels turning, make money, keep the lights on, reinvest back into my business, and do everything else that I have to do. It's that accumulation of experience. It's an accumulation of the little actions done every single day for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and 3 years. Right? That then leads to the victory. That's what you guys are seeing now. I've been in this game for 10 years now, after having reinvented myself. 10 years. 10 years. It's not overnight that I started making a ton of money and own all these properties and have all these multiple streams of income. It's been 10 years, man. And the first 3, for sure, was nose to the grindstone, 12, 14, 16-hour days. I know that sounds cliche at this point, but it was. It was. It was a tremendous amount of work, man. This shit was not easy, and I'm glad it wasn't, because I built the fortitude in that time. I built up the habits and skills that I needed and got that real-time experience doing these activities of going door to door and making phone calls and grinding all the time with just action, 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 action. But that built the foundation that then catapulted me to everything else that I wanted to do. That's what allowed me to make the videos and be chosen to speak and do the podcast, because now I have experience and knowledge in application that very few people on this planet have. That's why I'm a part of the small percentage of people who is making the kind of money that I'm making and having the success that I'm making. But I've put in that time and I continue to put in that time. But that's this beginning portion. Are you willing to commit? The time is going to pass anyway. But when I look over these 10 years, that 3.5 years of nose to the grindstone, guess what? At this point now, that was temporary. That wasn't forever. That wasn't forever. And that's what I tell new people. Do the work now, commit. The more you do now, the more committed you are now, the less overworking you have to do later. Now it's famous and popular to say, work harder, not smarter, and it's not about working longer, it's about working more efficiently. And all that stuff is true. However, what a lot of people don't tell you that are making money off of you is that in the beginning, they worked their asses off night and day. You cannot skip that portion. You cannot skip that portion. If you're working on a particular idea, invention, you're an entrepreneur, you sell products or services, you can't skip that portion, because that includes everything. Working in your business, working on yourself and on your business. That's 24/7, dude. You're not gonna come out of the gate working 1 or 2 hours a day and expect to have this success. That is afforded to you later by the overworking that you did before. If you guys didn't know, the average millionaire, and this is an older statistic, so it might have gone up, I don't know. The average millionaire works 59 hours a week. The average employee works 40 hours a week. So they put in 50% more effort to get to where it is that they're gonna get. Now, if you really think about it, over a 5-day period, what's 19 divided by 5? An extra 3.5, 4 hours a day? Is that really that much? Start an hour or two earlier and work an hour or two later. Boom, you're there. And that's not including the weekends, right? That's not that difficult when you take a step back and look at it objectively, right? Am I right? But you have to be willing to go through that process, man. There's no skipping that. I don't care what you say, I don't care what you comment, I don't care what people have told you. There is no skipping that. Anybody telling you otherwise is selling you bullshit. And they want to make money off of you. Why? Because they're feeding that little part of you that doubts everything and that wants to take the path of least resistance. And the more you give in to these societal claims and urges and these default programmings that we have built in our system, and you don't work to forge a lot of the things that you need to be successful at this level, you will fail over and over and be miserable, let me tell you. Because I had to fight every old thought that I had, an opinion and belief and philosophy when I entered this world. It literally shattered my reality. And for many of you, just some of my YouTube videos and teachings have done that. Because it's so backwards to what we were taught, or what the mainstream narrative is about particular things. But this is it, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. You have to be willing to commit to that pain period, whatever you want to call it. If you're willing to put in that time, again, it's temporary. You will have a lifetime of enjoyment and brilliance and abundance and wealth and prosperity. But you have to commit to that beginning portion. And if you don't, it's going to be a tough road ahead. Okay? So I'm going to turn this into a multiple part series. We'll end it here for part 1. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Leave me a comment for part 2, what you liked, what you would like to hear, and we'll continue the series here. Appreciate all the support, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.